Cause and effect. Every present moment in a roast profile was caused by something before it and will affect something after it. Why am I talking about this? Well, we are within a heat wave in the UK at the minute. We have some pretty elevated temperatures against the seasonal norms. And along with that, we've also got an elevated level of humidity. And that is why us Brits are complaining. Now, this shouldn't cause too much of a concern to anybody, really. It's just a nice, pleasant, warm summer. However, other than being unpleasant to work within a coffee roastery, it can present an issue when roasting coffee and conforming to a roast profile. And the reason being is that even if you keep as many, if not all, your variables under control, but you don't have temperature or humidity controlled raw coffee, the variable becomes your raw coffee. And this is what I've been experiencing this week. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is my rudimentary green storage. It's pretty simple. In each of the bays, there is a Euro pallet, and on top of the Euro pallet, I will have raw coffee stored within the jute or Hessian sacks from which they arrive. All of the coffee that I have is inclusive of, and this is for most decaf as well, inclusive of a GrainPro liner. Those GrainPro liners do a really good job at maintaining consistency of the raw coffee inside of the bags itself. They essentially extend the shelf life of the coffee. But none of this is controlled in any way, shape or form. There is no mitigation for temperature or moisture within the roastery. So the beans that are sat within these bags are susceptible to any changes in the environment during the time of which they are stored here. Now, you will note that this being Friday, the end of my production week, I have very little raw coffee in storage within the roastery. And I do that purposely because I feel that the storage where all of the contracts are held is far better in that place than it is here with me in the roastery. And I employ a just-in-time stock system. So today, hopefully within the next 6 hours, I will be taking receipt of a pallet of coffee ready for next week's production. That allows me to control better the coffee that I will be roasting, albeit it's not a fantastic system. The important thing to note with that little segue was this space promotes change, and change promotes variation or variable inputs inside your roasting system. So what do I mean by roasting systems, and what exactly am I talking about? Well, ta-da, here is a whiteboard, and on the whiteboard I'm going to attempt to draw some things to describe exactly what I'm talking about. So let's talk about a roast profile. This is temperature and time. And a roast profile is, let's do it in a different color, basically a recipe that will describe a shape. And this curve here is your temperature over time. And as a roaster, what we're trying to do is we're trying to end at a certain point. And to arrive at this end point here, everything that happens before it has an effect on itself. So when we roast, most roasters will tend to break this down into different cycles. Those cycles are used to describe what we have been doing to other roasters, to our quality control staff and other things like that. But it also gives us an indication of to which phase of the roast that we're working into or walking into, so that we know, well, we can forecast what we're doing, and also we can reflect back from where we've come from. So we've got first crack here. That's an important point. We've got yellowing here. So that is Maillard, as some people call it. This phase here is the drying phase, and each of these phases will affect the next. That's important to know. I'm not so worried about these phases today. I'm more worried about here, okay? Because I'm talking about the temperature of raw coffee. And the temperature of raw coffee is one of the very first things that you should consider when setting up everything that's going to happen thereafter. So I try my very best to keep all of these phases very, very similar for each of the coffees that I roast. Why? Because I want to be consistent. It's great being artisanal when you start, but being artisanal to me is basically you're trying to figure stuff out on the fly. Once you've figured that stuff out, it is very important to yourself and your customers that you maintain a consistent approach year on year, batch by batch, roast by roast, until you have a positive outcome of an exploration of which you affect change thereafter. So, going back to this graph here, I'm thinking about everything that's happening before this, okay? Raw coffee, and what the temperature is. Because if there is an increase in this raw temperature of the coffee, one imagines that that will have an impact on how much energy is required in order to get to your end point here. And this week, I have experienced elevated temperatures of my raw coffee. And as a consequence, when I have been charging my coffee at my known charge point, based on thermal momentum through the roast, there have been forward variations. So, if I'm charging here at 225 degrees Celsius, and my raw coffee 2 weeks ago was 15 degrees Celsius, and today it is 25 degrees Celsius, there is a 10 degrees Celsius difference between the two. Will that have an effect on the roast profile? Question mark. In my system, it did. In your system, it may not. But it absolutely is something that you should consider. So, 25 degrees Celsius raw versus 15, what effect does that have on the roast profile going forward should I be at 225 degrees Celsius? Well, in my system, what happened there was, let me get a different color. So what happened there is, when the beans entered the roasting environment, everything ran a tiny little bit quicker, and also turned, I've exaggerated that, it turned a little shallower. This here, this is your turning point. Turning, can't spell point. In Loring terms, they call it the tap. The turning point is affected by your charge temperature. Your charge temperature is driven by your batch size. Your batch size is driven by your output. You would change the batch size and the charge temperature according to your output. You would change the charge temperature based on the ambient temperature within your roastery. If it is a cooler day and you're roasting on a drum roaster, you might need to increase your charge temperature. If it's a hotter day, like it has been recently, you might need to decrease your charge temperature. Now, what I've found is that we have had to decrease the charge temperature based on the raw coffee differential. We are making small adjustments. We're talking 2 or 3 degrees Celsius, not a lot. But if I want my turnaround point to be the same, whatever number that is, whether that's 65 Celsius, 70, 75, or more, or less, it doesn't matter. Those numbers are arbitrary. What I have found with the increase in raw bean temperature is that I have had to adjust the charge temperature, which is fixed to my batch size and my output requirement, in order to meet the turnaround point that I wanted to. And why do I want to hit that certain turnaround point? Arbitrary numbers, but why did I want to hit that turnaround point? because it gives me an indication of the momentum that I am going to have in order to hit the next point, which is yellowing over here. Yellowing is the point at which drying has ceased and roasting begins. Well, you're roasting throughout the whole process, but you get a color change. The beans start to turn a yellow in color, and we mark that as roasters. This happens at various different degrees Celsius proportionate to your system. Some people mark it as low as 150, other people mark it as high as 165, 167, or anywhere inside of that range, but mark it when the beans look a proper yellow. So turnaround point gives you an indication as to how quickly you're going to get to yellow. Turnaround point also then will give you an indication of your IBS, your initial burner setting. I don't know whether you can see this lime green on the video, but that's his initial burner settings. So this is important to us as roasters. This is important to us as roasters, and these are affected by what's going on here. The temperature difference here affects this here. That is what I have found. Let's get rid of the board. Do excuse my scribbles on that whiteboard. I have no idea how that's going to turn out. Now, let's recap. What I found this week is that the raw coffee temperature has an impact on the system. And the temperature difference between a few weeks ago and this week is marginal. We're talking 5 degrees Celsius, but enough that I've had to make minor adjustments. Each roasting system has a different degree of sensitivity to variables. Some may be more sensitive to airflow, more sensitive to charge temperature, more sensitive to batch sizes, more sensitive to raw coffee fluctuations. That is something that you are going to have to find out in your systems. Everything that I have described now is observations that I have made based on the information that I have available to me, the understanding that I have today, and these little videos are more about a description of the journey of me developing my ability as a roaster, and I am freely communicating that journey to you. Nothing that I say is absolute. These are just thoughts and things that I have going on in my head that I'm very happy to communicate on the internet. Never take what I say as absolute. I am not a professional at this. I am just somebody who is happy to communicate how I am developing my skill set over time. That being said, once I made these tiny little adjustments to my charge temperature, I found that my turnaround point was more static. I found that my yellow, based on my initial burner setting, was more static, and that I found that my overall roast profiles were more or less the same. How do I measure that? I measure that in weight loss at the end of the roast, consistency of color, and just the overall time of the roast as well. I was hitting all of those marks better by making these marginal adjustments. So if you're in a position that you find your profiles migrating away from themselves, break your roast profile down into sections, starting with your endpoint, color, temperature, time. Then work back from there, first crack to end point, Maillard to first crack, drying to Maillard, charge temperature, batch size, green bean temperature, green bean density, green bean moisture content, green bean screen size. Put all of these things together, work from the very end back to the beginning, and ask yourself, in this phase, have I gone awry? Have I moved away from my roast profile? And know that the cause of that happened in the stage prior. Make sure that you then think about that stage and address any potential issues that you think you may have had. The Loring is very good at staying on profile. However, you still need to make minor tweaks to things if you're roasting in manual mode, as I was for many of the batches that I have roasted this week. Now, I hope that this has been a somewhat helpful presentation. If you have any comment on the things that I have described, please put them in the comments. It may be useful to the community to discuss some of the things that you think I've got right or wrong. If in your experience you have had some situations that confirm what I have said or disprove what I have said, please put them in the comments, because it would be useful for everybody to discuss, and it gives me an opportunity to then go and explore those things inside of the roast to prove or disprove the things that you have said. Now, as usual, if you ever pick up a bag of coffee from us, I do hope you enjoy. You have a great day.